You really can't make this stuff up. Look, we have some Trump-voting MAGA farmers that enjoyed the policies of the Biden administration, and they took advantage of it. And Donald Trump, they voted for. They made sure that he was president, and he came in and he froze it all. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
The Trump administration's freeze on certain federal funding has put some farmers across the country in limbo. The farmers are not receiving the critical government grants they were counting on to pay their bills. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa brings us the details.
There's about 100 of them out there.
Kevin Levitt hoped these solar panels would help his main farm flourish.
The hope here is that these panels will produce enough electricity that the farm needs all year long.
He was only able to move forward with the pricey project because of a federal program that promised to shoulder roughly a third of the cost after completion. But the panels have been up and running for weeks, and no sign of the $45,000 he's been counting on from the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Could you have ever imagined finding yourself in this position after taking on that agreement?
No, everything is in writing. Everything's signed. You're stressed out. You're on edge. It has a toll on you.
President Trump has signed a flurry of executive orders pausing federal funding for review, including the Inflation Reduction Act, the climate initiative passed during the Biden administration. That has grant money built in for farmers like Levitt to conserve soil, water, and energy.
I can't get any answers.
Coast to coast, farmers who overwhelmingly supported Trump in November are voicing confusion and concern.
I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost.
It's going to reach into every state and every community nationwide. That's how far the reach of the Department of Agriculture is.
A USDA spokesperson says Secretary Rollins is aware farmers have been waiting on payments during this government-wide review and is working to make determinations as quickly as possible, citing plans to share information later this week. Until then,
what do you want people in Washington to know?
Enforce the contract that they gave to us, that they gave to everybody else, and do what it says.
Or else what?
Or else there might not be farms.
So let's talk about this, some of the unintended consequences, right, of what we've seen from Trump and Elon Musk in some ways. The freezing funding, just the plight of the farmers, also slashing all these government agencies. This is going to impact, we're already hearing stories, including some being put forth on Fox News yesterday, I'll note, of people who were clearly voted for Donald Trump, but suddenly have had their jobs taken away because of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there is a precedent for this. I mean, I remember in his first term, there was a wave of early stories saying, oh, can you believe it's happening? We're going to talk to some Trump voters, and they're surprised that, you know, their life has been distracted like this. Things have been interrupted. The question is, how much do they care? I mean, how much, not the farmers care, but how much does Elon Musk and Donald Trump actually care? Did they sort of build this into the plan that, you know, look, we've already been elected, well, Trump's been elected twice. They've already voted for us. I mean, is it sort of a slash and burn thing? I mean, Maine, obviously it's a bluish state. I mean, I guess, did the northern electoral vote go to?
I think Trump got the one.
Trump got the one. All right, never mind. But no, I mean, it is, you do see a lot of this trickle down thing, but that just doesn't seem to be part of their strategic thinking politically. And it's also a question of whether this is a politically harmful thing to them in the long run, other than a few stray voices that you hear in media reports. Now, there might be a lot of them, but it's not exactly a drumbeat that they're paying attention to.
Now, this is really pathetic, right? You have a lot of these people who, for reasons we've spoke of before, refuse to vote for Kamala Harris. In fact, there are polls that exist that show that if we took the name off of policies and ask which policies are preferred by people, they would all go for the policies that the Democratic Party stands for, that progressive stands for. Now, here we have the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. And the Inflation Reduction Act was an opportunity for two birds to be killed at one time, right? Do things that reduce inflation and do it by removing the dependency on fossil fuels, which are overpriced, highly priced. And at the same time, I shouldn't say overpriced because we don't take the externalities into consideration. The oil, to reduce the dependency on oil, and in doing so, reduce the cost for farmers by giving them the capital that they don't have necessary to invest in these types of energy systems that makes their farms more efficient. And by making their farms more efficient, what happens again? The price of their products fall. And what is called when you don't have when prices of products start to fall, you don't have inflation. The Inflation Reduction Act. A lot of people wanted to make issues of why are they doing that? Why are they're trying to cloak inflation reduction into green energy? Yeah, because you can use, if you invest in green energy, the overall outcome is the reduction in price, and these farmers started to see it. The people who have their factories that are powered by solar power, the folks who are creating green houses that are powered by solar cells, all of that, right? But the Trump, according to this AP news here, the Trump administration believes the role of government should be far more limited. Rather than solar power or energy efficiency, Trump has spoken often about his support for oil and gas, erasing environmental and climate policies created under the Biden administration. His key advisor, billionaire Elon Musk, has said the government should scrap all federal tax credits and subsidies. Of course, that's what he gets with his SpaceX and with his Tesla companies. Russell Vought, the newly confirmed White House budget director, co-authored the conservative agenda for Trump's second term, Project 2025, which criticized renewables like wind and solar and encouraged more oil and gas usage. So what does that do? These farmers, in times of high gas prices, high gasoline prices, high diesel prices, they're forced to pay those prices, which gets reflected into your grocery store prices, as opposed to the subsidies to a one-time capital infusement into solar panels that last 20, 25 years, into windmills that last several decades as well, and could generate efficient electricity for these guys to then cause the reduction of your food prices. USDA leaders have been directed to assess whether grants, loans, contracts, and other disbursement align with the new administration policy. So they're passed in the Biden administration as law, and then Donald Trump wants to come and reinterpret the law. Farmers and small business owners throughout Appalachia and rural America are struggling to stay afloat, said Charles Barnes, Director of Government Affairs and Strategy at Appalachian Voices, a nonprofit focused on sustainability. For people who have been awarded REAP funding and made purchases but haven't been reimbursed, that will cause significant financial harm. REAP originated with the 2002 Farm Bill and has long enjoyed strong bipartisan support for energy self-reliance, with money flowing in via the Farm Bill legislation and the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, passed by Biden. They love it, but now Trump is taking it away. And he's not only taking away these grants, he's taking away the long-term viability of small farms in rural America and Appalachia. When we told you that voting for Trump is voting against your own interests, that's what we're talking about. When we told you that their interest has nothing to do with yours, their sole purpose is to make money for the mega donors that they have. And this is a classic example that shows you will lose, small farmers. Biden gave you, Trump take it away. Biden gave you, and you snuffed out the Democratic Party to elect the guy who will ultimately screw you. But you got time. I've been ending all my videos with this one which one statement. You screwed up in your first vote. You made a huge mistake. You erred in electing Donald Trump, but you can atone. And the way to atone and save your family, save the country, is to make sure your representative vote against any tax cuts. Your representative vote against any budget that harms you. Just keep those continuing resolutions going. No reconciliation bill. Tell your representative, make sure you get your check for that, all that work that you did to make your farm more efficient, to make your small business more efficient. After all, for decades, they've been given the subsidies to the wealthy, rich, big corporations. It is your turn. That's what Democrats and progressives were doing for you. It is your turn to do what's right, not only for you, but for the country.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.